Everyone, it's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we are here for our 100th episode. So we have done 100 of these dog behavior Q&As. This is number 100. I don't even know what to do. There's nothing special I can do, but maybe there is. I don't know. Yeah, we're here. We're live, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on a Wednesday. We moved them from Thursdays to Wednesday because my schedule has drastically changed with my son being born. So Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, dog behavior Q&A. You guys like it. I like doing it. So that's why it happens. We're here to answer your questions about dog behavior, any questions for that matter. And remember, your questions directly help those who will be watching today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Because once it's on the internet, it always is there. And so we can always help people who are struggling with the same issues. So don't be afraid to ask questions because it will help not only you, but others as well. All right? And I'll do my best to try and help you guys. So I appreciate you guys being with me. Let's go ahead and get started. Okie doke. Let's see. I have a 1 to 2 year old pit bull staff rescue, pit bull / staffy rescue. I've had her for about 5 months now. She's learned her basic commands very quickly. However, she chooses when she wants to listen to them. For example, when I let her out in the backyard, and after a while it's time to come inside, I tell her to come. She doesn't budge. I hardly get a flick of an ear when I call her name and I tell her to come. It's very frustrating, and I know this kind of boils down to a lack of respect between her and I. Tips on how to get this respect. Great question. Okay, so easiest and most reliable way. No, it's not the easiest. I should stop saying that. It's going to be the hardest but most reliable way to get your dog to think that you, when you say come, that they have to come, is to go get them. And if they're in the backyard and you say come, so you open the door and you say come and they don't come, then you got to go get them. Go get them. All right? Because they're not going to necessarily like you going to get them. And be a little bit, displeased with them when you do go and get them. It's fine. Don't worry. It's fine. Promise. So go over there, go get them. If they run from you, continue to walk after them. Repeat, telling them to sit or walk after them. The very hardest way would be to walk after them until they actually give up, because they will. I've done this plenty of times. And when I was working in dog daycare, if the dog didn't come to me, I would not let the dog win by giving up because the dog proceeded to run from me. So I would actually walk towards the dog until the dog gave up, and they will. I promise you that. But it will take you being more stubborn than the dog. And again, this is the most fundamental, most organic way you can get your dog to be convinced that you will go get them, and they will come. I promise you that. So if you say come and they don't, go get them. All right. If they know sit, once they're sort of under the impression that you won't give up, they will either sit or they will come. And then the next time, again, you open that door, they're going to think about it. And you may have to go get them again, but that third time they're going to be coming. Okay? But it does take that effort from us. That is, again, a very organic way to do it. You can do all these tricks and all that, but it's not only organic, but it's also reliable. If I say come and you don't, then I'm coming to get you. That's it. Pretty simple. All right? Thank you for your question. Those of you who are live, feel free to ask questions. You guys are I will answer your questions first because you guys are watching live, and I appreciate that. All right? Okay, next question. My 2-year-old American Staffordshire Terrier has a tail like a whip. When anyone comes to the door, she wags it so hard it bruises people's legs. Imagine being whacked in the shins by a ruler. It doesn't seem to faze her any that it's hitting things so hard. But my grandparents can't even come over for fear of it breaking a bone. It's just an excitement thing that we can fix. Is it just an excitement thing that we can fix, or is it something that cannot be controlled? Of course, it can be controlled. And I would question whether it was just exclusively excitement, as though, although it looks just like excitement, it may be a way that the dog learns how to control. It's a controlling thing too. It's not just excitement. If it's excitement, then it would be something that they would do every now and then, because excitement can be controlled by the dog. But the need to control the situation where someone comes to the door in their territory and they do it and they do that behavior obsessively, that's not exclusively excitement. It may be mixed in with some insecurity. And so that is what needs to be addressed. If your dog is wagging their tail, does not mean they're free from insecurity, fear, or their need to control. That just doesn't. It's just not how it is. Okay, so you can control that by giving the dog something to do when that circumstance happens. But first you have to give the dog something to do without it happening, right? Okay, so that just means telling the dog to like go lay down on its bed when it's just you guys around, and you go open the door, because the door for a lot of dog people is a trigger for a lot of dogs to do what? Go run to the door, excited, and they jump and they bark and sometimes they bite. Okay, so if your dog is being very excited while it goes to the door, it doesn't mean that it's exclusively excitement. Okay, those things can be supplemented with insecurity and, again, their need to control someone coming into their territory, which means you have to take control of that situation, because they shouldn't obsessively, your dog, and no matter what behavior, shouldn't obsessively do something over and over again if this means this, because you're just building a dumb dog. Okay, so you don't want a dumb dog. You want a dog who uses its brain and can actually control itself and know that you can control the situation as well. And so, again, your dog should not be reactive in that circumstance, because some dogs do go from excitement to biting as a means to control their own need to come to a safer state. That's what I got. We got a question live. All right, give me a minute to pull it up here. Okie doke. Roxanne says, we are going on a 3-week with our new dog. No, we're going on week 3 with our new dog. She does great at home, but does not like the vet. Okay. The vet has recommended daily anti-anxiety medication. I don't feel like she needs this. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, man. Are you... okay, so you've only had the dog for 3 weeks. Of course, it's not necessarily going to like the vet. First of all, vets don't know how to even make a dog feel good about, that whole scenario. And then your vet pushing anti-anxiety medication? Absolutely not. I'm sorry. No disrespect to the vets, but they don't have anything. They know little to nothing. Their knowledge when in regards to behavior is in a box within their vet's office. You've only had the dog for 3 weeks. The dog doesn't even feel good with you yet. So let's have some time for the dog to develop trust with you, and then be taken into a strange area with a strange person wanting to fill up on the dog, and then consider something else. But dog doesn't need anxiety medication if The dog's only been with you for 3 weeks. The dog does not know the situation, the environment, doesn't know you well enough yet to even trust you. So it's like, no, absolutely not. That is my opinion. Uh, I would not put that dog on anti-medication, anti-anxiety medication. Okay. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Vets. Jesus. All right. I have a dog. Jen says, I have a dog that is really on alert during walks. I don't think she believes we will protect her on walks from other dogs. In our neighborhood, we have a lot of dogs off leash, dogs and owners that aren't paying attention. She will now bark at some dogs and lunge. I have the ability to take her to less stimulating places, but would like to help her get over this. Suggestions. Yep, she just needs structure, and then she just needs time within that structure. Those two things will provide clarity for the dog and trust for the dog, necessary to not display behavior that stems from the insecurity. So, um, give her time, stay consistent with the structure, and everything will get better. Be tougher in the beginning so that you don't have to, so that learning can be efficient, or you can get over that problem more quickly, and then you won't have to be so tough on the dog. Okay, but get that dog to think more, use its brain more, and that includes other areas as well. Not just the walk. All right. Thanks for your question, Jen. Hey, I didn't see you at the seminar. Where were you? Okay, next question. All right. Our Puggle, 18 months old, 24 pounds, generally loves our new puppy, now 5 months, 43 pounds. At the dog park, she is super submissive and gets along with every dog we meet. Lately, though, at home, the Puggle gets upset with the puppy. And the two have started to get into fights. I can easily pull the puppy away, but our Puggle will keep going after her and snap at me if I try to grab the collar. While they fight, it sounds terrible. And although their necks get wet with saliva, blood has never been drawn. It happens, I would say, 3 or so times a week, not every day. Seems to correlate when it's been a couple of days since we have been to the dog park. When it happens, I do put each in their separate kennels for a time to settle down, and after that, they are back to being good with each other. I'm wondering if there's something different we should be doing. Our puppy is getting bigger, and I'm worried that she could really hurt our Puggle, even though our Puggy seems to be the aggressor. So the first thing you have to do is get more respect from the Puggle. If the Puggle is going after you and continuing to go after the puppy once you've said stop, that's a big problem. Okay, the dogs have to respect you to a certain level, to where when you raise your voice, they should stop doing what they're doing, or at least think about it. If there's no thought, even after you physically touch them, then that tells you that you have work to do on the respect level when it comes to both dogs. If they think it's okay to fight, that is a sure sign that they do not respect you enough. Okay, so to keep everyone safe, you have to have that sort of respect from both dogs, and to optimize the chances that they will get along within their relationship. You will also have to be in control of both dogs. Sometimes dogs will need you to be in control of both dogs. Sometimes one dog will say will need you to get control of them and to have control of the other. And once they see that you can control that dog that can't be controlled, and once the dog sees that you can control them, the one that can't control themselves, then again the relationship that between the two can start to grow at a very good, calm level. And that's when they get to know the real them, as opposed to the reactive them, or the bratty side of them, because maybe they're just fighting because they're both being able to be in that assumption mindset, which is I can do this and there's no repercussions, or I have to do this because there's no one else in control. So if you're in control of both parties, that's how you can guarantee great relationships, or at the very least, them coexisting. All right? Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay, got a question live. Okay, this question is for Anna. Hi, Jeremy. We have 2 German Shepherds. One we adopted at the beginning of September. The other is a foster dog that has been in our house for about a week. We are still keeping both dogs on lead around the house, around each other, and have not allowed them to full access to each other. They act like they want to play, and then it escalates quickly into an argument. When do we know that it's okay to drop the leash? So I would go ahead and say you want to drop the leash now, or you want to attach a long leash to the leash now. Okay, and then make sure you're going in the backyard and not in the house. But I have a really good YouTube video on how to introduce any dog of any temperament to any other dog. And if you emulate that, then it's definitely you'll be way on your way to get those dogs to establish a good relationship. But again, like I just said, the dogs need to see that you are both in control of both dogs. They both need to be responsive of you. That's how people go through dog daycare careers without having fights. They have to, all the dogs in the yard have to have a certain level of respect for the dog handler in the yard. And so it's more about how respectful of you they are in order for them to, again, see each other on a calm level. So let's just say this. Okay, you don't really see dogs. Remy don't really see their true character. You don't really see a dog's true character unless there are boundaries that are so respectful that they are calm. Calmness maybe brings about true character, is what I'm trying to say. And yes, there are dogs that are so driven, but driven is very different than reactive. And a lot of dogs look like they're driven, but they're actually reactive. They don't want to be reactive. They feel like they have to be reactive. And if they are again presented with strong boundaries, then they start to become calm and can take a deep breath. And so that's what we need to see from our dogs, because many of us don't even know our true character of the dogs, because they're just so reactive to everything. If you are living pretty much hostage to your dog, if you are so accommodating to your dog, then you're not really seeing your dog's true character. Your dog's true character is a mixture of them doing what they want, but also doing what you want. It's not one or the other. Doing what you want, just doing what you want, is you being a tyrannical pet owner. And just doing what they want is you being a doormat or a driveway just being ran over. So it's got to be a mixture of both. All right? Thanks for your question. Okie dokie. Next question. Chris says, congrats on your 100th episode. What time, day can I call you to discuss our wild child? Brandy, the Black Lab Border Mix. Thank you. Well, call me on Thursdays. You can call me before 1 o'clock, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, you can call me after 2 o'clock, and I'd be most likely to answer. But either way, I'll call you back. All right, let's see. Do you use e-collar for slot of your training? Does that mean for a lot of your training? Yes, I do use the e-collar for a lot of my training. I do not use it for slot of your training, of my training. Um, and the reason is that it's easy and convenient for the owner to be able to have communication with the dog and not have a leash on. I'm messing with you. I know what you meant. So yeah, I definitely think that the e-collar is the best tool out there because again, you can give the dog the utmost freedom because they're not meant to be on leash. All right. On a different subject, Joe and his band will be at the distillery tomorrow night opening for. I saw that. I'm gonna try and see maybe if I can make it. I haven't seen them since I've lived in Milwaukee, and I'm gonna try and see if I can make it. How's Sizzler doing? All right. Let's answer some more questions. What do you say? Okay. All right. My dog has been out of the kennel while I'm at work, and she's doing extremely well. And I've been sleeping, and extremely well. I've had sleeping outside of it as well. I've had her sleeping outside of it as well. However, now when I try to put her in her kennel for any reason, she barks loudly. Been about a week, and I've timed her bark. She stops around 5 minutes. How long will it take for her to be okay with going in there again different times? Is there anything else I can do aside from wait it out? 5 minutes isn't that long, as far as waiting it out goes. I mean, I definitely think that that's awesome that you've already waited it out. That's really good. Yes, you can go in there and tell her to sit. Get a little upset with her. Say, be quiet. Sit down. Lay down. No, you definitely don't want to sweet talk her in the crate. You don't want to give her some treats in the crate. You don't want to pet her in the crate. Forget all that because it's just going to prolong the process of her calming down. You want to go in there and get a little displeased with her. Tell her to sit, and then you can walk away. You know what I mean? But again, you shouldn't be negotiating with her at all. Just tell her to sit, stand firm until she sits. Don't walk away until she does. Or you can wait it out. 5 minutes again isn't that long, and that will also be effective. You can just wait her out without any going in there, and just wait her out, and she will figure out. The goal is to just get her to figure out that barking doesn't get what she wants, which is to be outside of the crate. Okay? That's what we're looking for. Hokey doke. Got a question live. Let's see. Where are we? There we are. All right. Taryn says, what is the first thing you teach on the e-collar, obedience-wise? I teach the dog what the dog already knows. Come. The e-collar is not to teach. The e-collar is not there to teach. The e-collar is there to prove what the dog already knows. Sit, down, stay, come. Okay, so the e-collar is there to prove what it already knows. That's it. All right. And you want to use the e-collar as a form of pressure, just like you use your voice, just like you use the leash, just like you use any tool. It's a form of pressure that can be as firm as necessary, but as gentle as possible. That's how we use any tool, all tools, even your voice. Again, you don't have to get loud with your dog, but it's okay if you do because it's a form of pressure. Because even if you're in general conversation with someone and someone's ignoring you, what are you going to do? You're going to up your voice and say, hey, I'm talking to you. Hello. That's a form of pressure. So it's the same way we're going to use the e-collar, the same way we're going to use the leash. It's no different. Very simple. If whispering works, if general talk works, then there's no need to get loud. And the consistency is going to determine whether you have to get loud often. You will have to get loud every now and then. It's fine, because dogs maybe are opportunists and some are stubborn than others. But it's okay. You want to always, more times than not, be able to casually say, "Hey, come," and the dog actually do it. You know what I mean? So, thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Rachel says, "Hey, Jer, we've had our dog for 3 months, and he's starting to become territorial, barking at people, coming in and nipping occasionally. We have been reinforcing no with him and putting him in his crate with a blanket over it, like a timeout. Any more tips?" Yeah, I would not want you guys to put him in a crate with a blanket over it, for the reason being that you're just sort of keeping him from learning. That's just not teaching him anything. What you want to do is sort of give him a certain amount of freedom to where he can decide to listen to you or not listen to you. Little shit is nipping. And so you want to keep him out of the crate, or at least keep him in the crate and not have the blanket over it, so he can see what's going on, and again take your leadership versus doing what he wants to do. So in the crate, if you want him to get used to people, while he's in the crate, he's got to be doing something from by a way of your leadership. So down would be something, or sit would be something, but I prefer down. Either way, he's got to listen to you more so than he listened to himself and be looking at the strangers like, I'm going to keep my eye on you because I don't feel good about you, and I'm not even listening to my parents. I don't care what they're saying. You want the dog to start caring. And so sit is a little, it's not really going to get it. I would say down is probably a little bit more challenging for the dog, but again, going to get the dog to learn that you're actually telling the dog that people are okay, and there's no need to bark, stare, or bite or nip for that matter. Yes, give him something to do that's non-negotiable. That's going to be the key, because he's a certain level of insecurity, and you have to answer those questions for him. He's in question. What are these people doing in my territory? I don't like it. I'm going to try to be controlling. But he needs you guys to be in control so that he doesn't. Okay? And how to get there is pretty tough for a lot of people. So, private message me. Feel free to reach out, and I can give you some tips on that. All right? Thanks for your question. Okie dokie. Roxanne says, "We keep our crates downstairs, away from the living space. It's bright but secluded. Is this okay in your opinion?" It's okay if they don't have issues with people in the house. It's actually maybe okay with people where they are now. As long as the behavior in the crate isn't anything other than calmness. Never should a dog be barking in the crate. Never should a dog be whining in the crate. Never should a dog be scratching at the door, doing this, whatever it is. The dog should be laying down while it's in the crate. That's a place where the dog should be relaxed. And if they're not, then you've got some work to do. That place should be a place of relaxation. But again, if you have to do that work, then that means you have to tell the dog to, or get the dog to realize that things aren't what you think they are. Your dog is popping off and barking in the crate when guests come over. That means you got work to do. I'm just saying. They think it's okay to bark. They think it's necessary to bark, and they're definitely just not listening to you to the level they should to keep people safe. But rid them of that. Let them do them a service and make the world the way it should be, or make them see the world the way it is. Like, not everybody I bring in the house is going to kill me. It's okay. Be quiet. You know? It's like, don't be barking your head off, because this person would actually give you some belly rubs if you calm your down. You know what I mean? One of the dog does bark for several minutes when I first put it in, but stops about 3 to 5 minutes in. Should I stand there and tell her to lay down? Again, you can go about it in two ways. You can wait her out. Actually, I'm not going to. The waiting out thing is for certain circumstances. But in this situation, the easiest way to get a dog to be quiet in the crate is to, when they're barking, go in there, act like you're going to let the dog out, open the crate door about this much, and then close it right away and tell them. And as the crate hits the as the crate door hits the crate, tell them quiet or sit or something like that. Okay, the dog may be anticipating you letting the dog out, you know, which is something you want to do anyway, despite guests or whatnot. You open that door just this much and shut it right away. Quiet. Okay, so the dog does get a face full of crate door. It's fine, but the dog realizes that you gave him something it doesn't want, and then the dog will try something else to get what it wants. And what does it want? Attention or getting out of the crate. And then how to go about getting that? Well, barking didn't help. Whining didn't help. Let's try and be calm. And then I can get what I want. Okay, so you never move forward in anything with your dog until they're quiet. And I can go more in depth about that. I'm actually going to make a video about the importance of post-threshold calmness, because I can see where a lot of dogs are still in the wrong mindset when we decide to move to the next step. For example, when we're sitting our dogs at the door and their tail is wagging. Their tail should not be wagging. And people are going to say, oh, but the dog is happy. What are you talking about? It's still not the right mindset to have. You want to wait until the dog's tail stops wagging. And I'm not really sure how to articulate exactly why you should wait until the dog stops wagging its tail. It's just a much better mindset than having the dog wag its tail. Because again, excitement and fear are really closely related, and they're tied together. And when a dog is wagging their tail, does not mean they're without fear. But I can tell you, if a dog is not wagging their tail and they're completely calm, then it's much better on the fear spectrum than having that tail wag. It's just like the question earlier about the door and the obsessive tail wagging. Too much tail wag is again going towards that obsessiveness, the need, the reactive mindset, which is not healthy, and is also closely related to, again, barking and biting, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps. All right, next question. This is episode 100. Or 100. All right, I've always kept them. Oh, wrong question. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, answered that one. Oh gosh, trolls are out. Yep, trolls. Let's see. Okay. All right, here we go. I have 2 foster pups that have sharp puppy teeth and playfully bite me to the point of drawing blood. What's the best technique for teaching no bite? I tend to bite them back with my fingers or my grip. But I basically, what you have to do is give them something that they don't like, to the point where they rethink their action. And puppies can definitely learn that. because they would do the same. They would get the same lesson from an adult dog that would teach them that that bite was too hard. Bite softer, basically. That bite is too hard. Bite softer. And so, if your dog continue to bite, what I do is grab the bottom jaw and just pinch until they get a little squirmy, and then I let go and I tell them no. If they decide to do it again, then I repeat. But you have to let the dog know exactly what is right and what's wrong, and you can do that by just doing what I said. Give the dog something it doesn't like, just like again, the mother would teach puppies, or an adult dog would teach those puppies. Adult dog and mother would say, I'm going to bite you just to show you that I can control you, but this is not to hurt you, it's to teach you that this is not good. This is overboard. All right, and you want to teach that to a puppy pretty quickly because it is a respect thing. Bottom line, it is a respect thing. If they think they can bite you as hard as they want, and there's nothing to even make them think twice about it, then they're going to continue to do so, which is a very dangerous mindset to have for a dog of any age. Puppies can get away with it because they're not causing any damage, but there are adult dogs that bite that same way. So that's that. That's that. All right, people watching live, you got any more? Oh, we got a question on YouTube. Okay, here we go. My 7-month-old bully listens when I tell her sit, but she won't stay, and she's hyper all the time. Is it best to train my 7-month and my 2-month-old pit bulls when they are full or before feeding them? Well, that's a good question. I mean, I would try both. I mean, depending on the dog, it depends on how food driven they are to train them before or after. It depends on, so when you tell her to sit and won't stay, 7 months is a little young for that. You got to make sure, the best way to also teach stay is to also make sure your dog is pretty freaking tired and exercised. They'll stay a lot easier for you. And so I wouldn't really teach stay with a 7-month-old that hasn't had an adequate amount of exercise, because that's just being unfair to the dog. So make sure you're doing that. And again, maybe I would even wait until the dog decides to go lay down somewhere and then teach stay, because you can do that too. You can have the dog go lay down finally and be calm and then teach stay. That's when you can teach stay and come if the dog is food motivated. Because the dog will naturally be okay with staying because it's tired. It's that tired. Does that make sense? I hope that helped, man. Feel free to ask me another question. Okie doke. Well, any more questions live? I think we're kind of on a roll here. It's our 100th episode, guys. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Well, I can also end it live. I'll just tell you guys this. So let me just tell you my experience at Madison and what I learned and all this, that, and the other. It was great. The seminar was great. I want to go ahead and thank Fetch Wisconsin Rescue for having me. It was a really good time. There was a bunch of people, a bunch of dogs, and we didn't really, when we're teaching foster parents, sort of the basics, we just do stick with the basics. And I'm a very big proponent, I'm a very big advocate for just sticking with the basics, because you can have, there's so much, sort of explanations and wisdom within basics. But if you decide to go above and beyond basics, then you start to get way away from the fundamentals. And I want to stick with the basics because I want to make dog training as easy as possible for people, as easy in theory to explain to people. And again, within those basics, it can get complicated, but But I do want to tell you guys that you don't have to be a daggum dog trainer to have good dogs. You just have to be consistent and fair. Okay. My new dog barks at every single noise outside. It's just a small bark, but she hears every little noise. Fearful. What should I do? Give her something to do. Occupy her mind with something that she has to do. Go lay down means go lay down, and eventually that stuff will melt away. You want to make her world more certain. Your leadership is the best way, the most reliable way to do so. There will be people who will say distract her with toys, treats, and all that. Those are all superficial ways to get your dog to understand how the world is. Needs more leadership. That's all. When I tell you to go lay down, you must do so. If you don't have that level of respect with your dog, you must strive for that. That's going to guarantee that the dog doesn't have to react to every little noise outside. I mean, think about it. If you had to walk around and look over your shoulder at every little thing going around, what would you be called? You'd be diagnosed with paranoia. And so it is our responsibility to help our dogs not have that sort of everyday life. Go lay down because I told you to. And if you don't have that, you got to work towards that. And it may seem cold, but guess what? The dog is going to start to be calm about everyday experiences, which is really good because you're going to start to see the real character shine through in those scenarios or just in everyday interactions. All right. Okie doke, you guys. Well, it's been fun. It's been real. I appreciate you guys watching. Please, if you thought this was helpful in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you be so inclined. Got a question. Waited too late. Okay, here we go. This question is for Melissa. My dogs have been together since June. In October and November, we've had a couple of huge fights. Now it's been probably a month since the last one. Is it normal for this to happen after all these months? Also, any advice to break up a fight? 6-year-old dingo and just about a year lab mix. Oh, Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's normal for dogs to fight at any time. Again, if the you don't have a certain level of control over both dogs. It's like children. When children fight, obviously we think that that's a bad thing and that it shouldn't happen. But we have to take away certain luxuries that the dogs are having in order to keep them humble. And so evaluate how much they assume that they can get for free, and start chipping away at those. Don't give the dogs free affection, treats, food, attention, and you'll see that the dogs will stop fighting. But overall, in any area, it doesn't matter what it is, the dogs still have to listen to you when you say stop, hey, no, go lay down. Those things will guarantee that the dog can get back to where they were, for those several months that they did get along. And so it is up to you as their leader to show them that it's not fight. It's like a boss. It's like your boss at work. There's obviously situations where you do not like your coworkers, but you're not going to be fighting with them because the boss is going to fire you and the boss is in control. You have to be the boss, and you have to dictate the behavior of your employees, which will be your dogs. And again, once you achieve that, there will be no fights, and they can have that good relationship that they may have had before. So figure out why it's happening, but more importantly, get them to take your word for it more than anything else, and take away their assumption, their assuming mindsets. Take away their the thought that they have of I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I want this, I can do this. They're pushiness in any way, because fights don't go without those things. Um, so evaluate that and see where you go from there. How to break up a fight? Go for their back legs. See if you can get a slip lead or a leash. Take the clasp and go through the loop of the handle. Wrap it around the dog's waist and pull them apart. Go after the aggressor, or the one who you think goes, the one who you think starts the fights. Go after that one, because sometimes the other one is just defending themselves, and if you pull the aggressor away, they may the one who's defending themselves may stop, may or may not. But identify the aggressor, and that's the one who you really want to get control over anyway. Is the one who says, "I want to fight. I'm going to fight. I don't care what's going on." That's the one who you have to ship up and shape out, or shape up and not ship out, but just shape up. If that makes sense. All right. All right. Thank you for your question. All right, guys. I appreciate the thumbs up. We're going to get ready to get out of here. We'll be here next Wednesday, same time, Facebook and YouTube. If I missed your question, I will come back and I will type it up. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye.